What is going on YouTube? Today we're doing an After Effects tutorial to learn how to keyframe an image. Let's check it out. AC's back on. That means shirt's back on. Patented black tank. Who would have thunk? There's a few things I want to start the video off apologizing for that have come up. A lot of people have been talking about it. And the first one is, fuck your feelings. I don't apologize. So stupid. Coming in hot with an actual idea of something to talk about in a video today, which is, what was it? So you know how when you first learn about something, you're really excited about it, you learned a new thing, and you want to tell people about it. You want to tell them and share what you learned because then they'll learn it. And yay, learning. So you go find a poor soul to talk to about it, and then you sit them down and you're ready to tell them, and then you start trying to explain it, and you do a kind of a terrible job, and you realize, oh, I actually didn't know that as well as I thought I did. So unfortunately, that's my job. The whole thing isn't my job. Just the explaining it to people is my job. And whether or not I actually know the thing is kind of important. And if I have to put a video out talking about something, it puts me in quite the precarious position, as you can imagine. So like yesterday, I started sharing about this book that I'm reading called Kill All Normies. And I was talking about Gamergate a little bit and a couple other things. The one thing I went into slight extra detail about was Tumblr and Twitter subcultures generating a kind of hypervigilance towards things like microaggressions or actions that could be deemed in a systemic manner racist, sexist, or homophobic. The reason my mind latched onto that is because it was reflective of my reality, where a lot of what I was reading and consuming and probably talking about was that sort of puritanical version of kind of liberal progressivism. However, because I didn't position that idea in a broader context of information in terms of its actual impact, what I ended up saying was that basically right-wing online culture was like heavily influenced by that sort of puritanicalism, therefore kind of implicitly placing the onus on the communities that were hyper-vigilant about that sort of stuff for that sort of online right-wing backlash. This point was brought up in a comment, which is why I'm talking about it now, because it connected with a perspective that I used to hold, which was similar to this, but far more online and extreme, where not only should people be given the space to overcorrect and police language, given that a lot of that language does cause material harm and a lot of the hypersensitivity to it is warranted in a world where that's been the dominating experience, but added on to that, my perspective around that time would be that any criticism of someone saying something wild and bastardizing social justice would be inherently blaming them for the right-wing culture war backlash, and that creates a problem because sometimes people just be saying some dumb shit. And when you see people like on the left saying some wild shit, and then you see a right-wing person say, this is wild. The fact that a right-wing person is pointing out that the shit is wild doesn't make it not wild. But now I feel differently. My perspective is a combination of what I was talking about with that book, where there are certain environmental factors that create these exchanges on social media, but at the same time what that person was talking about, which is that you can't place the blame on a community that is obviously more justifiably hyper-vigilant to, you know, the sorts of things that would end up sparking backlash. So what's nice about this is that whole process happened because someone commented, giving their sort of different perspective that was in part related to mine, but different perspective that added on to what I was saying, which was presenting this information in kind of a singular way. And the reason I was presenting in that way is, again, because it was reflecting back at me in a psychological way that this is kind of a part of myself and my old identity that in hindsight has pushed me to a lot of like bad sort of emotional reactionary habits, especially when it comes to making content, which is a problem because now I'm a big content creator, and if those habits don't go away, then you're just a big idiot, big silly guy in front of the world. And again, what's nice about a channel like this is that this is dialogue, right? I say something, someone says, hey, what about this? I go, oh yeah, that's true. And it's true in a way that's related to what I said too, so we synthesize. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. And I'm sure many of you have had that experience in a conversation with someone where you either just learn something politically, or you have a surface level knowledge and someone says something about it that you think is wrong. You dive into arguing about it or explaining it, and then you realize that you don't know as much about it as you thought you did, but you keep arguing, and then they're in the same boat and two people are arguing when neither of them know what's going on. That's me. That's just like me for real. I'm sure that's plenty of you. That's how charged conversations go. The problem arises when you don't post conversation slash debate slash pointless debate realize that that's what you were doing. And for me, I didn't realize it so many of the times it was happening. I remember an argument I got in with my mom where she was talking about Hillary at like on Thanksgiving or something, and I was irony crazed online Chapo trap house Bernie pilled guy. So I just started arguing with her, and I kept saying Benghazi. I just kept telling her Hillary did Benghazi, and my mom was like, what what did she do? And I was like, it was so bad, and I had no idea why, which sucks in so many ways. You know, like if I did genuinely have a grasp of what I was talking about, I would be able to have a conversation with my mom where I present information that grounds what I'm saying so she can make a determination on whether or not that's true and whether or not that's something she wants to present contradictory evidence to or whatever. But because that didn't, it was just a waste of time and a performance from me, because I was like, my friend Felix Biederman said that actually she sucks. Thanks. So, yeah, fuck you. And this was 8 years ago, so you must understand that we're all little silly guys sometimes. I guess another kind of similar example to that is a lot of my content in the past has been dunking on red pill stuff, so like kind of online weird guys, Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit type guys. So I make a video, I look at what they're saying, and then I just kind of make fun of it. Nothing about it and the conclusions were wrong, but the way I would get to these conclusions was not really all that grounded, and not in a way that I would be able to like explain to people where people could learn. They could just see a guy performatively saying, not even performatively, it was performative, but it was more so performing the action of a guy saying some sexist stuff and me saying, you know, that's bad. Because it was bad. It literally was bad, and it still is bad, and it's still happening. But if the only explanation I have for that conclusion is that it feels weird, what he's saying feels weird, then I don't know if I'm like all that qualified to sit down and try and educate people about the subject. If I'm just that's my emotional reaction. And it's this weird paradox, because like you're on Twitter, you're seeing how people are talking about Fresh and Fit. You're like, yeah, I could see how this makes someone feel extremely uncomfortable, feel extremely weird, feel threatened by this sort of language or these sort of statements. But those feelings aren't genuinely coming from me. They're coming from my interpretation of what other people are saying. What that then allows me to do is take those emotions and those feelings and translate them into an online sort of creation content context without recognizing that those emotions and reactions aren't really mine to have. Like if you see someone saying something that you know is hurting other people, it makes sense why you might want to say something, because you know it's hurting them and you know they're good or chill or cool. And I think that is the primary motivator, I don't know. I keep saying was like I fixed stuff, but it is ongoing. I've had the tendency in the past to be like an epiphany type of guy, like, oh, I did this thing and it'll never be the same. Once now that I'm fixed, I don't have this problem anymore, and it causes further problems, because once you slowly stop doing the habit or whatever it is and it goes away, then you are left in the dust with a dusty bin of dust. But in terms of that online subculture of like weird guys saying misogynistic things, and then another group of people making a video showing them saying it and being like, this shit's weird, that's an entire online subculture of content that I am one of the larger, probably, male creators that's a part of. Maybe, I don't know, I might be the largest, or the only one? I don't know, that's bad. Because people like Curtis Connor, let's say, he was one of the first people I saw do like a video about Fresh and Fit. Take the kind of commentary format where you pluck something and make fun of it, and it's funny because the shit is weird, applying it to a vaguely political arena, which was people doing misogyny crimes. And it was entertaining, it was funny content because of how egregious the things that they were saying. But using that as a form of politics, performative politics, or trying to understand for people that aren't aware of the experience of that emotional distress of hearing something like that or manifesting in the real world, then nothing is actually being gained or learned or transformative. Which is not me talking shit about Curtis. The thing about Curtis is that he does a bunch of other shit. So when I say the genre of like positive masculinity content or whatever, he's not like necessarily a part of that. It's just derivative of influence from that and other like political factors. There's one other thing that I talk too much about when I'm really wrong about it. Oh yeah, like in the last video, I said Tom York was Zionist, and I read some comments that said other things, and now I'm not sure, but even now I didn't look it up, which sucks, because this could be a teaching moment for any Radiohead fans, and I could say he's not, or he is, or he kind of is. But the reason I said that was my friend told me that. And he told me that he did something, and I Googled it, and I found the story where he made someone put a Palestine flag away, or he took it and threw it, something like that, at a concert. But to take that and conclude that he's a Zionist, my friend might have been joking. Kent, if you're watching, I don't know if you were joking. It was in the fervor in like probably November 2023, so granted, a little hyper aware of the potential of someone being a Zionist blue scare? No, we're not doing that. See, that's another dialogue piece. They bring information, you bring information, thank you. And I say, oh yeah, maybe I should not just blurt things out if I'm not like pretty sure about stuff like that. Not shaming myself for any shit, not being too hard on myself. I'm just saying, I think that's important. I think COVID and the isolation socially and physically, I know for me, marred a lot of my any potential social interaction that I would have. And it's only from social interaction and interaction from other people that you are able to like check yourself on things. If you're alone with your thoughts, left to your own devices, you might be acting a little sus. And for me, during that time especially, my bad tendencies of being isolationist and that affecting the way I kind of think about the world in terms of just being stuck on the same information diet without any alternate perspective, those habits were developed or the comfort with that was developed during COVID, I think, and it carried over to like, up until fairly recently. I was supposed to stay here in Thailand for another month starting like the 15th, so it would have been getting back like I guess around 6 weeks from now, but I changed my flight and I'm coming home a month early. And one of the reasons for that was, well, there's a financial reason, because part of why I came out here was I just wanted to like live at a cheap Airbnb for a while. And this is a cheap Airbnb, I think it's like $400 a month, relative to what I was paying for my apartment. But I changed my plans to now go home and stay at my mom's place for a month or two to like, I don't know, there's a few things I want to do while I'm there. But there I get to stay for free and have free food and have fun hang out time with my family, as opposed to staying another month here and paying for an Airbnb. Even though it's cheaper than LA, the cheapest thing is free. That's what they say. That's what Pawn Stars say. Gimli, the cheapest thing is free. Put that on a damn t-shirt. But the other reason, aside from the financial aspect of coming home, is that I was at a restaurant and I was scared to wave to the waiter. I sat there for way longer than I needed to, even though I forget what I wanted. I forget what I needed to do. Maybe ask for the check. I didn't want to bother anybody. And this is the best place to bother someone, because like the waiters, they'll respond to like a hey in a way that I think is less confrontational than just being at like a restaurant in an English speaking place where you say hey. They're like, what? There's probably a better way to just flag down a waiter, but I got really nervous doing that. And that's when I was like, oh, I need to go home and I need to be around people, because as much fun as I am having in this kind of creative, weird, wacky space, sort of filling brain and pouring out brain every day arc, I do need to be around people, or get back to being around people, because, it's good. It's good. You can fact check me on that. I don't have a study for that. No, what? I was just looking at a study. I was like, is being social healthy for you? And all the studies are like, yes, you fucking idiot. Go outside. Go to the bar. And I was like, no way. It's like a whole graph. It's like life expectancy, cancer risk, or life expectancy, cancer risk, cool factor, be more handsome factor. So what's the conclusion to this very well paced and thought out video idea about read more or listen more and talk less? Well, just that I always appreciate when people comment things like that, because I learn, and then I relay it to people other people in the audience, and maybe they learn, maybe they don't. Are you listening? Hey. I guess one other thing that I'm going to be thinking about for a while is that every time I'm like reading a book and learning something new, not thinking about it from the perspective of, oh, I can't wait to talk to someone about this. More so thinking about it as you're just adding this to your mind. And that's cool in and of itself. And maybe one day you'll be in a situation where you can not tell someone about it, but actually talk to them about it, because they will have read the book too, and you can connect and learn new things. Noah's Guide 101 to being a human being. Amazing. Hope you pass with flying colors. Okay, that's it, I think. See ya.